Hi friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. In this video, I'm going to be making sourdough English muffins. These muffins are crispy on the outside and chewy and airy on the inside. These muffins are relatively easy to make, and I plan to make a triple batch so that I can freeze some for later. Not only that, but I'll also be making sausage, egg, and cheese muffins. At the end, I will show you how I package and freeze the English muffins to make it very easy to pull them out of the freezer and thaw them quickly. So let's get started. The first thing we'll do is we'll get our dough prepped to do a long bulk ferment. This is an English muffin recipe by Lisa Bast from Farmhouse on Boone. So we'll start with our liquid ingredients first. She has both grams and cups measured. I'm going to do cups because I'm going to be doing a triple batch, and the volume of ingredients will just be easier to do by the cup. So it is 1 cup of water. Then you need an active sourdough starter. This one's nice and bubbly and ready to be used. And that calls for 1/2 cup of active sourdough starter. Just a reminder, I am doing a triple batch, so I'm adding more. And I'm gonna take my dough whisk and mix that together. And then it calls for 2½ cups of flour. And now we're going to take our dough whisk and mix this together. And we're mixing this until a rough dough forms. And you can do this with your hands as well. I think I'll get my hands in here and make sure that everything is off the edges. And it's that easy. You just get it pulled together into a shaggy dough. We'll let it bulk ferment now for 12 to 24 hours, and we'll come back and finish the rest of it. Okay, so the bulk ferment is done, and I did decide to put saran wrap on it last night. I was just worried that it would dry out, so I wanted to make sure that there was some saran wrap on here. And I'll show you how nice and bubbly this is. I would say it's probably been a good 16 hours that it's been fermenting on the counter. So it's definitely ready to use. The directions say between 12 and 24 hours. So now we'll mix in our other ingredients. I decided this time I was going to mix all of these extra ingredients together in a bowl before I mix them with the rest of it. And it calls for 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking soda. And again, I'm doing a triple batch. So I'm gonna just put all this in together and stir it in together. I just feel like it might make it a little bit easier, but you can put it right on the dough if you want to. Actually, there's enough honey here that it's working out pretty good. It's mixed in together quite well. So I feel like this might be something I do each time. I might have to make a note though, I forget from time to time. I always do these bigger batches, and so I always have plenty in the freezer for quite a while, so I don't make these all the time. I probably only make them once every 3 months or so. There, I don't see any lumps or anything like that, so I'm gonna put that in with the dough. Put this right on the top of it. I'm just going to use my hands to mix this together. I'm sure it's going to be very sticky, but I want to make sure that it's mixed together very well, because the last time I made these, you could see that the honey looked kind of patchy, and my hope is to avoid that. It's definitely a sticky dough, as you can see. Okay, I feel like our dough is ready. So the recipe says to portion this out into 12 even pieces, and then you could form them yourself with your hands. But I have a triple batch here. I feel like it's going to be easier to roll them out and cut them, and they'll be more uniform that way. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to dust my work surface here. And I'll see if I can fit all of it on here. I may have to divide it in half, but we'll see. A bowl scraper works really good to get the leftover stuff out of the bowl. And I'm gonna dust the top of this to make it easier to work with, not so sticky. So I'll be pressing this out to be about 1 inch thick. I'm gonna have to put more flour under this also. All right, I think I can roll these now. And I'm just gonna try to roll these out to be about 1 inch thick. I've always pressed these out by hands, and I'm starting to see that it may be a better option because with it being so sticky. All right, I have a pan lined with parchment paper. I'm gonna set that up here. All right, let's give this a try and see if we're about the right thickness. I think that's pretty good, about that thickness. I'm just gonna set it here on that parchment paper. Seems like my dough is a lot stickier this time. It's quite humid in here though, so that may have played a part in it, but it's taking a lot more flour to work with these. So I'm just pressing as I go. If I see that it looks too thick, just kind of pressing it out. If I have room on my sheet, I'll just get all of these cut out before I start cooking them. So I got them all cut out, but they've spread out a little because we got company and it's been about an hour or more. So what I'll do is I'll try to reshape them a little bit whenever I put them on the pan. I'm sure that they're still gonna turn out just fine. So I have my skillet on preheating and I put some coconut oil on here. I'm gonna add a little bit more. I also have my oven preheated to 300 degrees. So you can cook these kind of slow and cook them all the way here on the skillet, but it just makes it a little bit easier if you just brown both sides, put them in the oven on 300, and it only needs to be in there for just a short amount of time just to make sure that they're cooked all the way through. So I got another pan here that has parchment paper on it, and after I cook these on the cast iron skillet, I'll put them on here to put them in the oven. Okay, so I'll take one of these and I'll kind of reform it just a little bit and get it on here. I think I'll set it in the center until I know it's warm enough, and I can always move it off to the side to fit more on there. You don't want it too hot, otherwise it'll try to burn them. And the reason for the coconut oil is so that it helps them to brown better. It seems like this is plenty warm enough, so I can go ahead and start placing them out here. The nice thing with a bigger skillet like this is you can get quite a few on at a time. That just makes it a little faster. All right, before I do any more, I'm gonna check this one. It's still light brown, so I'll just keep putting these on here. Oh, that one's ready to flip over. So you can see it's kind of brown there on top. Whoops, I'm making a mess. I think I'll turn this down. This burner is kind of a power burner, so it's kind of hard to gauge sometimes. So you can see that one's nice and brown, plenty brown. And I'll get the rest of these brown and I'll show you what they look like before they go in the oven. All right, there's 7 more. I'll put these in the oven. I'll keep an eye on the ones inside the oven. They should be about done. When I get them all done, we'll make sausage, egg, and cheese muffins. So I'm gonna check these just like I do homemade bread and make sure that it's up there close to 200 degrees, and then I'll know it's done. And it's 198, so I'm gonna pull this top pan. And the bottom pan should be done shortly. Okay, I'm getting my skillets pre-hot, and we're gonna get our sausage and eggs fried for our sausage, egg, and cheese muffins. The sausage I use is a little bit lean, so I always like to use a little bacon grease. Bacon grease makes everything better. So I have 5 sausage patties, so I will do 5 eggs. Look at the size of that yolk. The cool thing with farm eggs is you always get a surprise. Like there, we got a double yolker. And look how dark the yolk is on that. I'm going to pop these yolks. I'm gonna get some salt and pepper on these eggs. Oh, I forgot to pop one of them. Better get these flipped over here, see if they're, yep, that one's brown. We like our sausage nice and brown and crispy. I'm gonna get some cheese on the top of that sausage so it can be melting. I think these slices are really thick, so I think I'll just do a half a slice per patty. This brand is a little thinner, so I'll just put a whole slice on this one. I'm gonna turn this down because these are cooking way faster than necessary. If you had the egg mold, you could always make them in that so you have perfectly round eggs. All right, I'm gonna turn these off and get them on a plate. They're looking really good. They smell good too. The eggs are ready. Now I'll get the toaster out and get the English muffins toasted and ready to assemble the sandwiches. Look at these beautiful English muffins. So let's get a couple of these sliced and get them in the toaster so we can start assembling our sandwiches. I'm just going to keep slicing the rest of these, and the reason for that is because I'm going to freeze these, but I want to freeze them sliced. I feel like it's going to be easier whenever I take them out of the freezer. They're already pre-sliced. I don't have to try to cut through them. I'll probably put some wax paper between so that they're easy to pull apart and easier to thaw that way. I'm going to show you the inside of these. See the texture of the inside? It's nice and airy, nice and brown on the outside. I'm going to toast these just a little bit more. It's going to be so nice to have all of these English muffins made up in advance to be able to pull out of the freezer at any point. You know, it'd be really good to butter these and then put them face down on the cast iron skillet and toast them on the skillet. I'll have to give that a try. Normally I just make them in the toaster, but when we're camping, a lot of times I will take my sourdough bread and then I toast it on the Blackstone grill. I think I'm gonna check these. I think they should be toasted enough. They're hot. Whew. I'll get these buttered. I'll butter both sides, top and bottom. Grab an egg, get that on here. And a sausage, top it off. That looks so good with that butter on there. When the egg is too big, I just kind of fold it under. I have a double egg there. Get the sausage on the top. They look so good. Okay, I finally get to try it. This is so good. I will say that this is topped off all of the English muffins I've ever made. I really think that mixing the honey and the salt and the baking soda together first really helped. Or maybe it's just because I spent more time incorporating it together. They just turned out great. So I'm going to set this aside as much as I want to keep eating it. I want to show you how I wrap these sandwiches. So I just wrap these in wax paper. And these ones are pretty simple. So with these English muffins, I just set the bottom or top on the wax paper, and then I just fold this over, and I put this on here like that. And this way, and then I just fold this down. But this way, whenever I take it out of the freezer, I can easily take it apart, and I don't have to worry about them freezing together. So I'll wrap all of them. I know it seems like a long process to do that, but you'll be glad that you did it in the end because it'll be easier to thaw these out. In reality, it's probably only going to take me about 10 minutes to get all of these English muffins prepped and in a freezer bag. I just put them in a reusable storage bag like this. Then it makes it simple. I can just grab an individual one out or as many out as I need. So I'm gonna get the rest of these wrapped and I'll show you what the final outcome is. All right, I got them all packaged up. So I have this bag here with the sausage, egg, and cheese muffins in it. And then I have 2 bags of English muffins. So I use labels like this. It's just like an address label. And then I just write on it and put it on each bag, and that way I can peel it off and reuse these bags easily. So I am super excited to have these in stock again in my freezers. These are so convenient if you just want a little snack or you want to throw together a quick breakfast. I'm super happy with how these turned out. I think that a couple of the changes that I made really made a huge difference. One of the changes that I made this time was taking the internal temperature of these muffins. I've had issues in the past with some of them being a little bit doughy in the center, and that totally eliminated that issue. Another thing that really helped these was mixing up that honey with the salt and baking soda. It just made it easier to incorporate it into the dough. And maybe it's just that I mix the dough in better, I don't know. But I also know that every time you make something like this, you learn little tips and tricks that works good for you. The only thing I can think of that I might do different next time, and this is where it's good to write down a little note and put it in your cookbook, and that is to brown them less. Because whenever you put them in the toaster, they brown more. Keeping them a light brown may be a good option. Maybe you like yours darker, so you could kind of just do it however you like. But for me, I think I'll brown them a little bit less. So I hope that you found this useful, and I hope it inspired you to give this a try. If you enjoy content like this, would you consider subscribing and joining me here again next time? I hope that you're all having a wonderful day. Bye for now.